Section 2.2, slope-intercept form. We are splitting this section into two videos. This is the first video. We were going to start with the definition for slope of a line. So here's our definition. Given 2 points on a line, and I have 2 points written in general, x1, y1, and x2, y2, we can calculate the slope. So what does slope mean? It means rise over run, also change in y divided by change in x. Change in y and change in x just means that you have a difference of your y coordinates divided by difference in your x. So these two right here, you should have one of them memorized. You need to know that this is the formula for how to calculate slope. You can start with y2, in which case we start with x2, or we start with y1, and so then we must start with x sub 1. We have two examples, and the first example I have started. So it asks us to find the slope, and we're given two ordered pairs. You can label your ordered pairs x1, y1, x2, y2 if you want. And I am going to use the first formula where we start with y sub 2 and x sub 2. So given this information, we're going to start with y2, so that's going to be 2 minus 3. And then for the change in x, that's going to be 1 minus negative 6. So this is where we have to be careful because we're really going to be adding. And given the calculation here, we should get negative 1 over 7. So that represents the slope of the line that passes through these 2 points. A negative or a line with a negative slope basically slants downward. So this represents a line with negative slope. So you should know anytime you see a line slanting in this direction, it has negative slope. Let's look at the second example. So this is an example where we have two ordered pairs, but we happen to have coordinates that are fractions. We will label our points. And then use the formula for slope, which again, I'm going to use the first formula. Start with y2 and x2. So for the numerator, we need to get a common denominator, which will be 4, which tells us we have to rewrite negative 3 as negative 12 over 4 minus 3 over 4. I can subtract in the denominator since we have the same denominator for the fractions. That's going to give me negative 6 over 2. Going back to the numerator, let's add. So we add, we're going to get negative 15 over 4 divided by, well, negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. This might look a little complicated, but let's remember what this means. This means negative 15 over 4 divided by negative 3 over 1. How do you divide two fractions? Multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. And then, of course, I can reduce negative 3 and negative 15. That's just going to reduce to 5. And my answer will be positive 5 over 4. And a line that has positive slope is going to slant in the opposite direction compared to the first example. So if we want positive slope, it will look like this. So this is a line with positive slope. Last part of this section, we want to review how to graph vertical and horizontal lines. So what you need to remember, equation of any vertical line will have x equal to a number. Equation of a horizontal line will be y equal to any number. So when we have vertical and horizontal lines, your equation will contain only x or y, not both. Here are two examples. We want to graph and label 3 points. When you have an equation like A, what we want to do is we want to isolate the variable and then we can graph. We divide by 3, both sides. So this is my equation. Since it contains only y, then I know that I will be graphing a horizontal line. And these are very easy to graph. We do not need to do much work. So basically just draw your coordinate plane. Go over to the y-axis right here, -5. We have an ordered pair at this point, and it's just going to be horizontal line through -5. So that is my graph. I do need to label 3 points. So any point on this horizontal line will have y equal to -5. So you could pick any point, like for example, this point. I can choose that point, and we just need to label them. So this is going to be -3, -5. That is going to be 0, -5, and that's going to be 1, -5. So horizontal line, all the y values will be -5. Let's look at B. Isolate x, subtract 21. Divide by -3. Okay, so we have x equal to 7. That will be a vertical line since it's just x, no y. We will graph it and label 3 points. So I have my first ordered pair. Again, this is just going to be a vertical line. So any vertical line through 7. And I need 3 points, so I just randomly pick, for example, this point, and I can choose this point and write the ordered pairs. So we have 7, 3. That's 7, 0. 7, -1. Notice 7 will always be the x value in this case, and the y value differs.